I was watching this interview with the great Jesse Lee Peterson and a brother I'm not familiar with, but I support a lot of the things he said. I like him. I'm gonna go, you know, follow him and check out his material and see what he all about. But my first introduction to him through this video, you know, great minds think alike, and I got a lot of the same thoughts as him. His name Dore Love. But that's not why I made this video. I'm making this video because if you're someone who listens to videos on my channel, or if this is your first video that you listen to, that you seen on your feed or whatever, and you're gonna come to my channel and see other videos, one of my messages, well, I got a few messages, but one of those messages is, um, one of the main issues with black people in America is that we don't think for ourselves and we don't believe in God. Oh, we'll say as the scriptures say, with their mouth he say they'll speak. The scriptures say they'll speak with me out their mouth, but their heart is far from me. You know what I'm saying? So everybody in the black community, for the most part, believe in God, this, that, and the third. But when it come down to the come down, is they believe in they preachers, they believe in the rappers. Oh, I'm gonna say it like this here, and this is how I always say it: 40 black people, 45 and under, don't think for themselves for the most part. They think they let the athlete, the celebrity, the rapper, the singers think for them. And black people that's 50 and over, the members of the Democratic Party, the black preachers, the so-called black leaders, that's who thinks for them. So nobody in the black community actually thinks for themselves. And anytime a situation take place, they don't turn to God, they turn to those people, right? And so they gonna say, and these two gentlemen is about to speak on that. Um, and of course, as always, I'm gonna chime in. And also another thing that I see in a lot of my videos is how the civil rights movement was a big mistake for several reasons. And one of those reasons is, before the civil rights movement, although it was a storm in America for black people, it was very hard, but black people did well for themselves. Black people had more real estate than they have now before the civil rights movement. Do your research. We have more degrees now, but back then we owned more and we was in charge more because we understood that we understood the climate in America, and we did what we could to get around that. And a lot of blacks thrive. Business owners, black business, black capital was probably at an all time high. I know for sure. Um, I know for sure. Black real estate was at an all time high before the civil rights movement because black people understood what it was. They knew they had certain things in their way, that they were certain obstacles in their way that they had to jump, but they did well for themselves because they wasn't dependent on nobody. They had a relationship with God, and that was it. And they did well for themselves. But once the civil rights movement came, and people telling them, "Hey, we got your back. We gonna do this for you. Just follow us," that has trickled down to today. And like I said, as mentioned, the people that depends on the age limit you is as a black, those are the people that you look for answers. And these people have no answer because why is that? They're people just like you. Yes, they may have, and that's another issue in black community. And I want to just add this in. One thing I learned about the black community, and this is one of the things that we have to change, is very bad, and it's so bad. When I make these videos, man, and I see the climate of black America, it's just disheartening because sometimes you'll see certain things as a glimmer of sunshine, and you'll be like, okay, black people getting it together, and it's like, soon as you have that feeling, it's like something just stab you by some foolishness of the black community and the thing that they do and the way that they think, and the people who they support, and it's just like it's just something, it's crazy. But one thing in the black community that we have to change is we all somebody got to do is have a lot of material gain, material wealth, and we will believe them, listen to them, follow them to the slaughterhouse. Versus somebody who actually have a plan, but they may not have they may not have all the riches and all the material things. They could be talking the real stuff, But if they not saying it, and for one, before I say that, I'm gonna say this: people will overlook them. People will overlook them and listen to the people who have no plan, don't know what they're talking about. Okay, he good at basketball. That's why if you know, you go on my channel, I got videos about LeBron, how he needs to shut up and dribble well as along with a lot of other athletes, just like these celebrities. Like, why are we listening to them? You notice no other community does that. You never see it in the white community, the Mexican community, none of these other communities where they take entertainers and place them as leaders and what does they have to say about a serious issue going on within their community. This only happened in the black community. Why is that? Because they know that in the black community we will follow, number one, whoever is successful and at the top of whatever they respected sport or whatever they respected profession is. We know we will blindly follow them because in the black community we worship success, we worship material gain, right? And so if this guy can dunk a basketball very well, we'll listen to whatever he say about political issues, which as we've seen over the last couple of years, and I got videos on my channel about that. People like Kevin Durant and LeBron James, two of the best basketball players that ever played the game, and how they will open their mouth about situations that they have no knowledge of. They just regurgitate the thing that, of course, the Democratic Party says because that's who they're bought and paid for by. That's why I always respect Michael Jordan. I always feel like Michael Jordan to be the GOAT because Michael Jordan didn't get into those things. He played basketball very, very well, and that's what he focused on. When he was asked certain questions about certain things, he wouldn't answer them, or he would say that I'm not informed on that. In one situation, he told him that, hey, listen, Republican buy Jordans too. You know, Jordan was he understood, listen, I'm a great basketball player. Who's to say because I'm a great basketball player that I need to be involved or giving my opinion about politics? Because and it's even worse today because you got people like LeBron James that if you add up all his social media followers across all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and all that, this dude might have 1 billion people following him. And there's so many people who look up to him. And the thing that he say, even though he know nothing about what he talking about outside the basketball court, they'll listen to him. Right? They'll listen to him. Why is that? Because he's successful and he's rich. Right? And that's one of the main issues in our community. But I'm gonna let them speak on what they're about to say, and of course, I'm gonna chime in.
Let me ask you, what's wrong with the blacks?
In the name of Jesus, I command the weakness to go. You've been weak in your body, but strength has come.
Which ones? The blacks in America, the blacks in Canada, the blacks in Africa, which ones?
All of them.
Man, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things wrong with the black community. One of the major things is that they don't. They look to human beings rather than God. Like I was thinking about the Black Power movement, the Malcolm X movement. Right, the only movement that ever worked out was the movement that had God involved in it. Like even if it was loosely based in God, like nonviolent. Right, those movements worked out better than the other movements because at least they tried to root their movement in God. Like if the Black Panthers would have asked God what to do, maybe it would have worked out. If the Nation of Islam would have asked God what to do and not Allah, maybe it would have worked out. But we never asked God what to do. We asked, who's that dude's name? Jesse, the other dude, Jesse Jackson. Yeah, or that other dude that used to be fat and now he's skinny and got like all this wrinkles on his neck now.
Oh, Al Sharpton.
Yeah, we always go to these cats. Like every time something happened, or that one black dude, that one black bald dude, that every time someone
Benjamin
gets shot,
Crump.
you know what I mean? He's like, oh, I'm gonna defend him.
Benjamin Crump, the ambulance chaser. And as I always say about these dudes that he just said, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, and all these guys, what I always say about them is they hate black people. They hate black people, and they love black people in the state that they in because why is that? If black people would start thinking for themselves and doing the right thing and not fighting cops, you wouldn't have cops killing them. Or if they was to tell black people, hey, listen, keep your families together. Stop leaving your families, man. Keep your families together. Stop making baby mamas and making children that you know you're not going to be there to stay with. And now your child got to be raised by a woman who is not equipped to raise a young man, not even a young woman. Women are not equipped to be the sole raiser of a child. That's not their strong suit. And not to mention that a child needs his mother as much as he needs his father, but the father has a important, very important role that plays in a child's life, and if he doesn't have his father, it's going to hurt him. Can he still be successful in life? Of course, but it's going to be harder for him because his emotions is going to be he's going to be overly emotional, just like his mother, and there's a good possibility that the anger that is in his mother is going to be passed down to him, and it's just very dangerous. And that's like I always say in my videos, one of the main issues in the black community that we gonna first have to tackle before anything else follows, and that's keeping our family together. 70% of our children are being raised by women, in single parent household, and that is just a recipe for disaster, and that leads to a whole bunch of other things that I always speak in my videos. I'm not going to get into it here. Go check out some of my other videos, but that's one of the main issues. So the father is very important, and so you know, here it is. We look up to these people, and these people can care less about us. They of course, like Benjamin Crump, he's always there to quote unquote defend us because it's monetarily is monetary for him. It's a monetary gain for him, but they don't care about black people. Same thing with Alsop and Jesse Jackson. These people have been in power for years. Never once have they spoke on black crime. Never once have they spoke on abortion in the black community. Hell, a whole black women lead in abortion. A whole generation of black who Lord only God knows who these black men could have been. Only God knows who these black women could have been that was killed in the womb. And so you never hear Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump, none of these so-called members of the Democratic Party that so-called love black people, none of these fake black leaders, and most of the black pastors, none of them speak on these type of things. None of them speak on these type of things because, one, they know that if they continue to speak on these things, that not all, but a lot of black would change. Just like Barack Obama. He was in office. That was a chance of a lifetime. It was a chance of a lifetime for him to say, look, keep your family together. Stop killing babies in the womb. Stop killing your fellow brother. Black on black crime. He could have spoke against all those things for 8 years, but did he? Not once did he did it. He was telling black people that white supremacy is a problem. He was telling black people that police brutality was a problem. He was telling black people that it's okay to be gay, and that's all he was focused on, was making America gay. That's all he cared about. And he also was telling them, yes, abortion is great. He as a matter of fact, Barack Obama been a supporter of abortion since he was a senator in the state of Illinois. As a matter of fact, he had a law in Illinois that he was supporting. He had a law in Illinois that he was behind that said that if a baby is 9 months and they come out and you try to do an abortion or whatever, and the baby still lives, let it die on the operating table. So Barack Obama is a very, very evil man. But that's not what this video about. Another video for another day. But all these people who so-called the black people turn to actually do not care about them, because as we know, and I use this analogy a lot. If you got a child, somebody you love, you're supposed to love your child. I'm not gonna say everybody do. We know some people hate their children, but for the most part, people love their children. And so, if your children is constantly messing up at school, for example, and you know that your child is a problem at school because he's a problem at home, but yet you tell him it's not his fault, it's the teacher's fault, it's the other student's fault, it's everybody else's fault but him. When you as a parent can clearly see he has a problem, you are setting your son or daughter up for destruction, and what's going to eventually happen unless they turn the guard on their own as they get up in adult year, which it may be too late, because as I tell people a lot of time, the first 10 years you're on this earth as a young man or a young woman, that's your formative years. And so whatever is bred into you, whatever you're taught, is going to take off and create who you, and that's who you're going to be as an adult. Now, something can be broken off, and they going to be hard because they was basically ingrained into you during your formative year. For example, if you for 10 years on earth, your first 10 years on earth, all you do is play video games. You never do chores, you never do nothing but play video games, just be in the house all the time. that's gonna that's gonna follow you into your adulthood. You're gonna be lazy, certain things like that. Now you can fight and go against those things, but by them being ingrained into your spirit as a young child, it's gonna be like you going against the grain. It's gonna be very uncomfortable to unlearn and relearn, but it's possible, right? And so that's what these people do to the black community. These fake liberal black preachers, these so-called black leaders, members of the Democratic Party, and people like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and Benjamin Crump, the people that he just mentioned, is what they do is they tell the black people that it's not your fault what's going on. It's everyone else's fault. But they only doing that for power and wealth. They do not care about black people because, as I said before, using the child analogy, anybody that you care for, you're going to tell them the uncomfortable truth. You're going to give them constructive criticism because at the end of the day, you want them to do well. You want them to do better. But these people don't want black people to do better because when black people start doing better and realize that they fraud, then that means no more money in their pocket. But I'm going to let them finish, and of course, I'm going to chime in.
Like or Johnny Cochran, like we always go to these men to help us out, right? They don't know any better than we do. Yeah. So I think that's the major problem. Is like we're godless. You know what I mean? We look towards anything but God. Like we look for Lord like Umar Johnson or like anybody.
And I wanted to stop him again, and I want to say this real fast. And I've said this, and I always say this in all my videos. Black people have to turn back to God, and it starts with the man. Right? It starts with the man. And because the man have turned away from that, and that's why you see the issues that you have in the community, because why is that? The man have turned against God. Right? And what do I mean by the man have turned against God? Yes, once again, as I said in the beginning of the video, they'll talk about God all day, and that's why scriptures say they got me in their mouth, but their heart is far from me. Right? They God this, God that, but they believe in the pastor. God this, God that, but they don't believe in God and His commandments because they don't follow them, right? When the black man open his Bible, turn back to God, not the pastor, turn back to God, follow His laws and His laws, decrees, and commandments. The Most High is going to allow our women to begin to back follow us. And the children and the order of God gonna be back in order. God and Christ, Christ and man, man over woman, woman over children. But in the black community, we are completely out of order, and that's why the things you see is happening. The black woman this, the black woman that. Well, we can't talk about the black woman without talking about ourselves as black men, because we didn't rebel against God and turned away from His laws and commandments and believing in the pastor and whoever else we believe in. Our women are rebelling against us, right? And in turn, the children are rebelling against the mothers because we know in single-parent household what kind of chaos goes on there, right? So once the black man turn back to God, the woman is going to follow suit. Our black woman is going to follow suit, and the children. And everything will be back in order and back right.
Bro, like anybody but God. It's almost like anybody but God.
Yeah.
And that's why we're in this state.
Even the so-called civil rights movement was a mess. That wasn't from God either, because the blacks have not returned. They have never came since the civil rights movement. They have only gotten worse. They have not gotten better. And that whole movement was about socialism. It wasn't about setting the people free or uniting them as one under God. It was about controlling them.
Yeah, and you see the effects of it today now.
Yeah.
Anytime, so they'll put a leader, and whatever that leader say, we do it, or people do what he says, and that just like they did. That's the same thing they kind of did on the plantations. They just put one person up, and everyone, and it's almost like a rapper, right? Yeah, they'll put a rapper up there. Like, who cares if something happens in the community? Who cares what Ludacris has to say about it? But they'll be like, yo, Ludacris is online. Like, Ludacris said this about that. Like, who cares? Ludacris, like, is poisoning the community too. Like, you know what I mean? Rick Ross, all these like dirty rappers, all they talk about is drugs and sex and fornication and alcohol. Like, they destroy the community too. But that's exactly what they'll do. And this is another thing they do. They make us think that all we can do is be athletes.
And I want to just say something on that, man, because I mean, that's kind of like one of the things that kind of, since I come out of the fallen state, since I woke up, that's one of the things that kind of like, I never could kind of grasp once I came out of that fallen state and God took and God and I turned back to God like rap music. Just picture this. Just I want you. I want whoever listen to this to just take themselves back. Just take 5 seconds. Close your eyes and just imagine a group of people making music that go completely against them. A group of people making music talking about killing each other, talking about selling poison to each other, talking about their women, calling them all out their name. Just picture that. And you got the black community and rap music. And we wonder why we in the situation that we in. Like, that is crazy. I just wanted to say that real fast because he brought up the rappers and how when situation is taking place, let one of them say something and we all, so who cares what you guys are saying? You guys are part of the problem. And y'all know y'all part of the problem, but y'all can care less because why is that? It's making y'all have power and wealth. And that's all people care about in our community. It's having power and wealth. No morals, no standards, just power and wealth.
Entertainers or singers or something.
Yeah.
And so then everyone in the community strives to be, I can't wait to get older so I could be an entertainer, or I could shoot a hoop. Like we have no value in other areas. You know what I mean? And in other areas, those are the ones that move the world. Those people who make laws, those are the people that make.
I want to stop it again because this brother is saying something very, very powerful. And it's some of the things that I speak on. And that's what made me want to do this reaction. Because listen, it's so funny to me, man. I've never heard in my life that a young black man or a young black woman say, I want to grow up and own a basketball team. I want to grow up and own the Detroit Lions. I want to grow up and own the New Jersey Net. I mean the Brooklyn Net. It's always I want to play for. And these other people understand ownership, leadership, community generational wealth, not just generational wealth for your family, but community generational wealth. And why is that important? Because what I mean by community generational wealth is, you can have generational wealth. And who's to say 3 or 4 generations down the line, that generation won't screw up the generational wealth and now y'all back start from scratch. But whereas these other communities, what they does is they create community generational wealth. And what that means is they making generational wealth for anybody who look like them. So just in case the 3rd or 4th generation screw up in a particular family that look like them, they can always come back to somebody else in the other. For example, give you an example to give you a clear understanding of what I'm saying. For example, if the Navrosky family messes up, the Nowinski family can say, "Hey, let's give him a shot." The Navrosky that end up screwing all the generational wealth up can always go to the Nowinski family business or family-owned business or corporation and get another job, all because they look like them, right? Not even going back and doing research or if they family was connected, but just the fact that he looked like us. We always talk about how white people look out for white people and Mexicans. Everybody stick together but us. Everybody stick together but us. You'll never go into a Chinese restaurant and see a black person working there. You're not going to go into these gas stations and see a black person working there. Right? They employ their own people and they come here and they make generational wealth. And it's not always, because I remember they had Indians that I knew. I've met Indians in my particular hometown, and they would come here and they would go to these gas stations and get interviews and get jobs. And they didn't know the Indian that owned a particular gas station, but that Indian automatically said, listen, he looked like me, he's in this country, and I'm going to give him an opportunity. And that's community generational wealth, to make sure your people that look like you is in charge and in power. That way they can always look out for you. But we understand that a lot of time most black people don't even want their own people in power. If you look at all these rappers and all these actors and all these athletes, let's look at them. The majority of people that's around them, especially the people that's on the payroll, is white people. The assistant, the publicist, the manager, all these people that be surrounding them is white people. You don't see that in other communities. Country singers, they team They payroll is people who look like them, white people. Same thing in the Mexican community and every other community. And so, that's one of our issues among many. But of course, I'm gonna let him finish, and of course, I'm gonna chime in. But yeah, he's saying some real stuff. That's all we want to do is we just want to play for the team. We just want to be the CEO of a company, the manager. We don't want to own anything. And if black people wasn't always crying and blaming white people for this, that, and the third, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But you got the power and the influence, and now these days we got the money to do everything that we want to do. Black people in America have the finance. You got NBA players getting paid $200-300 million contract. You got we got the money, we got the influence, we got everything that we need to take our mark in America and rise all the way up to the top of the economic pole. But because we don't have a mindset of we don't have, most of us don't have a trailblazing mindset. Most of us have communist, socialist mindsets. That's why we're in the situation we're in. It's not nobody's fault at this point. It's our own fault.
That change that just to change society, change communities. Actors and athletes, they're controlled, just.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm glad he said that. I want to say that. I want to say this real fast. This is why I have an organization called Just Us Foundation. It's a non-profit organization, grassroots, that I'm building. I'm starting, and what I'm doing is I'm going around to schools. I'm going around the neighborhoods, and I'm teaching younger black people how important it is to be involved with politics, how important it is to know financial literacy, how important it is for these things, because all they know of coming up as black people is that I want to be Michael Jordan, I want to be Michael Vick, I want to be NBA YoungBoy, Tupac. But these are not the people who move the world for the most part. These are the people who are bought and paid for. They're controlled. Whereas these other races of people are teaching their children. You see the Chinese, the Asians, and the Middle Eastern people are even coming here now and trying to get in politics because they understand that politics is what run stuff. But in black community, nobody want to have conversation about politics. Nobody want to talk about politics. Nobody want to educate themselves on politics. Nobody want to educate themselves on politics because they feel like it's too complicated to understand. But what they don't understand is these are the people who change laws that's going to affect your life, your family life, and generations to come. These are the people who make the tax law. These are the people who run the world, and yet black people is not interested in being a part of that because it's too complicated. But when you're talking about something that's shallow, they all about that. We have to change that, and that's why That's why I started this. That's why I started my organization called Just Us, because that's what I'm gonna be speaking about. I'm going all over to schools and just teaching children about politics and how important it is to be involved with politics and how politics can affect you, your life, your children's life, your grandchildren's life, and generations to come on. And ownership and financial literacy, because we get money and we go give it right back to the so-called people that we hate, or the so-called people that's oppressing us, and we get all this money to go give it right back to them for things that's going to validate us and things that we can make us feel like we better than the next black person, not the white person. And so we have to get rid of that as soon as possible. And like I said, I'm doing my part, and we all as a community got to do our part. A lot of these Negroes, they not going to make it. I understand it. I get it. A lot of the older black, they going to have to die off because, as I made a video the other day on my channel called Old Fools. A lot of blacks in our community are old fools. They have nothing to teach the youth. They have nothing to pass down to the youth because all they know is being a worker. And so, we got to get rid of that socialist, communist mindset and adapt the capitalist mindset. And that's what we have to do in the black community before anything gonna change.
Like you were saying about the civil rights movement. They'll put people in control. They'll put people in front of us, but those people are controlled. So they want us to think like them rather than be free thinkers.
Yeah.
Because everyone thought outside the box and thought for themselves. Then I believe that we have more of an entrepreneurial spirit. Like they put us in school and they teach us like to work for like $3 or $4 an hour, $15 an hour. That's whack. Like if I gave you a shovel right now and I'm like, yo, Jesse, go dig a hole for an hour. I'll give you $15. You wouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But people go flip burgers for $15. People go like do construction for $15. I think that's whack, bro. That's just whack. And I think all that is part of that is because we don't think for ourselves. You know what I mean? And it all starts because God makes you a free thinker. You think outside the box. God always thinks outside the box.
That's very powerful what he said. God make you think that, but you got to turn to him. Stop turning to the preacher. Stop turning to the members of the Democratic Party. Stop turning to the fake black leaders. Stop turning to the athletes, the rappers, the entertainers, and all them, and turn back to God. Exactly.
So that's the major problem, man.
Before the civil rights movement, blacks, for the most part, used to think for themselves. They did for themselves. They thought for themselves. That's why the older blacks, they rejected, for the most part, the civil rights movement, and they would tell us not to be a part of that mess, and that you can do for yourself. And they knew it was a battle between good and evil, and it wasn't about race or racism. It was about, there are people who are serving God, there's those who are serving the devil, and they come in all color, male and female. But that changed when Martin Luther King and others came about. And the blacks were freer then. They did for themselves. They had businesses. They bought land, all kinds of things. But that changed once the so-called movement, civil rights movement, happened.
Yeah, the first time I heard you say that, I was younger. So I'm like, yo, this dude's crazy, bro. What are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Because TV poisoned you, and you be thinking like, nah. But then the more I thought about it, yeah, that's true. And then the more you look into it, it's true. Because look, the Jewish people, right, were under bondage to the Germans. And then when the Germans, got wiped out, they got their own state. You know what I'm saying? They got their own country. It seems like black people want a piece of what the white man got rather than just get their own thing. Right?
Yeah.
You can just get your own thing. Like, why you want some of that? Like, oh, validate me. Like, you know what I mean? Let me be in your Oscars. Let me be in your Grammys. Why? Make your own Grammys. Just like 70% of the NBA is black. Right? And the owners are like 2%, and they run everything. Why you just don't make your own NBA? I've always thought that. Like, I don't understand these dudes.
Hey, that's funny that he said that, man. That dude might be listening to my channel too, bro. Because I've been saying it for probably a couple of years now. It's so funny to me how the NBA and the NFL are majority black. Of course, they have great football players that are white. They have great basketball players that are white. But we understand that black people is the power of the NBA and black people are the power of the NFL. But yet they don't have one owner that's black on either sport. As a matter of fact, they have an owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's Middle Eastern. So you mean to tell me they had a Middle Eastern majority owner in America before black? That's not no coincidence. That's on purpose because that's our fault. It's not nobody else's fault. It's not nobody else's fault. We don't want to own the team. We want to play for the team. And they make so much money playing for the team that they think they actually winning. But a lot of times these dudes get out of the league and go broke within 5 to 10 years. But yet the owners are never going to go broke. The owners are never going to go broke. And you always think about that. It's like it's always the white way to be a validation for black people. Just like rich black people, what do? They get money and they move to the white neighborhood instead of saying, you know what, we all got some money. How about we rebuild our community and make our community look like the white community or better than the white community? No, we're going to leave our neighborhood and go to the white people neighborhood. It's almost like in America to blacks, especially liberal black, that whatever the white people is doing, we want to do it because that validates us and makes us feel better about ourselves. But yet, we'll be the same one who talking about the white man this, the white man that, white supremacy this, and white supremacy that. But yet, that's who we want to be. That's who we want to be. It shows in our actions. It shows what we do. But I wanted to say that. I just wanted to add that in because that's very powerful what he said because that's crazy. I always thought that, like, blacks, I mean, at the very least, they should have black commissioners. They don't even have a black commissioner over the NFL or the NBA. Never have and probably never will because that's not black people's mindset to be in ownership. Their mindset is to work and play for the team, not own it. That is crazy that he said that. Very powerful stuff.
Like, you guys guys have money. You look around, everyone's black except for the people running stuff. That would bother me. I'd be like, yo, we need to get together and make our own thing. But then, you know what I mean? That also takes a certain mindset. And
It
so,
does.
you know what I mean?
It does.
Exactly, and it takes a capitalist mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset. Most blacks have a socialist, communist mindset, right? And they don't have a mindset to do that because that's gonna take work, and a lot of black people don't want to put that work in. They just don't want to do it. But and then again, it really wouldn't even take that much work because that's like how we had the circular reparation conversation. Um, we could get reparations tonight. Tomorrow morning, every black person get reparations. All the black celebrities, whether it be actors, singers, dancers, rappers, athletes, put all their mics down, football down, basketball down, saying to the black community, get their reparations. We not doing that anymore, and it'll happen overnight. But they know blacks not gonna do that because they understand that blacks just want to be a part of what they created. And long as the power that be understand that, they can always put the meat there, and when you reach for it, pull it back, and have you constantly chasing something that you never gonna catch. But in the process, they gonna make sure you straight to feel like you winning. So they'll give you a $200 million contract, but you don't have no financial literacy. You don't understand anything and how anything works. So what you gonna do is you gonna give all that money back to the people. You gonna give all that money back to the people who you so say oppressing you. You're not gonna have that much investments, and 5 or 10 years down the line, when you're no longer making that money, you back at the start. You back at the drawing board. And if you're not, the generation after you, the liberty that you lead them, they gonna run through it. So it's like, but see, ownership is very important. This is why you see every time certain things. Let me give you, for example, the Beats by Dre. The reason why people want to purchase these things, the powers that be want to purchase these things, because they understand ownership. They understand ownership, and they understand that ownership means that this is gonna forever be in my family. I remember a couple years ago, the Rooney brothers, the Rooney family. I don't know if they all men, but the Rooney family, which is the family that owned the Pittsburgh Steelers, the oldest one, offered the other siblings $800 million to sell their shares in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they all refused because they understand ownership. They understand that ownership means this is gonna be for me and anybody who come from my nutsack. Whereas black, we'll hurry up and sell something, not understand that now we cut out. We might get this big old check, right? But we cut out of the generational thing, and that's one of the main issues in our community. One of the main issues, but another issue in our community, that we are two-dimensional thinkers for the most part. We don't have no foresight. And that's another issue that we have to fix. There's a lot of issues, man, and I address all of them on my channel, and I always give solutions. Because I'm a solution-based, solution-oriented person. It don't pay to just talk about something without a solution. And this is another issue that has been going on in the black community. This is the number one issue, that we always talking about the problem, but we never talk about the solution. And at this point, times have changed. At one particular time, it was a little bit more harder for black, but at this point, 2023, it's nothing in our way but us. Nothing in our way for us to take our stake, for us to be at the top of the economic pole. Nothing is in our way on none of those areas. Now, do these powers that be capitalize of our ignorance to certain things? Yes, but they not in our way, and they not holding us back because they can't at this point. We too influential, we too powerful, we making a lot of money, we very smart, but we just not applying ourselves in the right way. And the people who we looking at as leaders are misleading us because they don't care about us. All they care about is power and wealth for themselves.
Yeah, you're right. I noticed that for some reason, they don't know that they can do it. If one man can do and be free and do his thing, so can I. What's wrong with me that I can't just do my own thing too?
True.
Is there a difference between the blacks in Canada and the blacks here in America?
And I'm gonna end the video there, because he's about to talk about it. You can go check the video out, if you want to catch the full interview. I'm gonna put the link in the description. But yeah, that was a great interview, man. Two men of God speaking about a lot of different things. But I just wanted to make this reaction to this little 8-minute segment that I seen on the video, because it's like he's speaking on a lot of things that I always speak on. And anytime I see somebody that's doing it, I kind of like to put them on wax and react to what they saying. You know what I'm saying? And also give them props. It just was a great interview, man. You can learn a lot. But yeah, man. We're at a point now in time where the only thing is in black people way is black people. But I want to thank y'all, man, for taking time out to listen to me, man. And if you listen to it right now, it's Sunday. Happy Sunday. God bless you and your family. And I ask that y'all like this video, comment if you have something to say, and subscribe to my channel. Y'all be blessed.